Let's look at some quick fixes. While we're there, we want to fix things immediately, not just make a list. So as we walk around, we fix things immediately. We can start moving things off the airflow. You know, a little educatable moment. We find somebody in the past has plugged the airflow because maybe it was cold or hot or noisy. We fix that right now. We find a plugged screen, clean it off, maybe put in a bigger screen. It's not going to catch so much dirt. We find a time clock that's out of sync because the power was out for 3 hours or whatever, didn't get reset. Let's fix it now. It doesn't take that long. We find filters that have been abandoned, orphaned, forgotten about. So we find high CO2, you go look for that plugged filter or the dampers, fix it immediately. Make a note of it. Carbon dioxide was high in the room, 3,400. Remember our target's 800 or 1,000? High CO2, well, the unit's running, what's going on? We open it up, we find the dog didn't eat the homework, you know? The unit did. So we take the grill off, we clean it out, now you can see the CO2 goes back to where it's supposed to be. Quick fix. We're up in the attic. This is what we like instead of a flat roof, is a nice attic where you've got the equipment that's nice and dry and you can go up there and work. These new high-tech systems, you use a laptop to adjust them. We went up and we just adjusted the CO2 on the spot and fixed the ventilation for those rooms. Can't do everything today, so there's some things we put off till tomorrow. Maybe we need a work order. We got to get some high-tech people in there with some tools, so we put it on a work order. And here's a duct leak. Well, let's get in there with some mastic and some sheet metal screws and let's patch this up, and you know, it costs $5. Teacher's running the unit, it's making noise, but it's not moving any air. So the high CO2 tells us something's not right, so we get someone in with a wrench and they tighten up those fan belts. Maybe they put new ones on there while they're at it. High CO2 coming in, we find that the intake screen was right at sidewalk level and it's completely plugged. So that's going to take a little more tools, a little more gear to get that cleaned out. There's other fixes that take a little more time, a little more money, but you know, let's put them on the list, let's get it done. We want to make sure there's an exhaust fan in here. Make sure it's set to run 24/7. Just in case something happens after hours, you don't want to be surprised in the morning. We can adopt some high-performance cleaning. This is a school that's adopted some good practices where they keep the materials in tubs where they can stay away from the dirt, they can clean it off. They actually get the kids involved in some of the dusting. We've seen some schools that have like a early warning bell, 5 minutes before the end of the day. Sort of the 5-minute warning bell goes off. Kids get involved. They put the chairs up on the tables. Maybe they move everything to one side of the room on Monday, the other side on Tuesday to give the custodians a fighting chance. High performance cleaning. Let's get a building that we know it's clean. With carpet, you don't know how clean or unclean it is. With tile, you can tell if there's dirt there or a hard surface. We try and encourage a cultural change to get rid of some of our allergy and asthma triggers and other pollutants in the building. So what we want to do is encourage the school to adopt practices where you don't have these pollutant sources in the building for long term. We want to have a good learning environment. It's okay to maybe have a display for a day or two, but permanent residence can cause a problem in our buildings. And again, cultural changes take time. If you remember this example of the closed off fresh air intakes on this building, what we encourage them to do is put in some slots. Now they can put the blockage in there when the weather forecast predicts a cold front, and you pull it out when the cold front passes through. So now we're getting fresh air and we're protecting our pipes. It's not a tragedy to reduce the outside air for a day or two. It's better than having a flooded building. So it's what you do in the interim. It's a way to manage fresh air and other concerns. Again, if you've got a high-use photocopier or chronic exposures, let's ventilate that. We want to make sure people have comfort. It's the least we can do in our buildings. So we note comfort concerns, and maybe it's going to take time to put in a new control system or a new strategy or some equipment. But put it on the list. Let's see if we can get that accomplished. Looks unpleasant under the school. Rather than change the landscaping, maybe this school was built in a low spot, or a river runs through it. There was a spring there that nobody knew about when they put the school there. What are we going to do? Well, what we do is we put in an exhaust fan, and we create a pressure in this crawl space so that the crawl space pulls the air out of the building so that whatever's in the crawl space is not allowed to expose the occupants. So now the crawl space kind of smells like kids and microwave popcorn and whiteboard markers, instead of the building smelling like a damp, dank crawl space. Same approach for a tunnel. You look in the classroom and you find that under every ventilator is a hole to a tunnel. And the tunnels obviously are not real pleasant. So we put a suction fan on that tunnel, so now air goes down those penetrations and outside, and we protect the people. Not high tech, not high cost, it's just a way to manage the air, clean to dirty. Now there's fixes that take even more time and maybe even more money, but you don't get things accomplished unless you measure, you check it out, you document. Here's carpet replacement. We've got our nice 70s carpet with various stages of duct tape covering up the seams and the holes. You'd think that might be an easy fix. Unfortunately, a lot of times we put the carpet over asbestos tiles and we glued it on. So you can't just buy a new piece of carpet, you have to do an asbestos abatement, which takes more time and money, and it's not a simple carpet exchange. So that's something to put on the list down the road when you can. So when we get through doing a walkthrough, we need to let the administration know what we found. And Dave's going to take over and talk about how to wrap this up.